everyone, to another episode of the Minnesota Rackstars podcast. I am your host, Joe Call, and today we're going to be going over a little bit of our road trip that we had out to South Dakota, a little family trip out to South Dakota, some of the things we ran into and saw and seen and did and all that stuff. But yeah, it was kind of a cool trip. We got back, and it was a little late for me to try to record a podcast. I was going to do it on the road, but it was a little too noisy. So, we're going to go into that a little bit, and then we're going to talk about our no-till drill that we bought and all the things, all the issues that I ran into, some of the pros, some of the cons of the drill. If I'm happy that I bought it or not, we'll see. That's all coming up here in the podcast, but there's always interesting things with no-till drills. They're starting to become a little more popular. Are they feasible? Well, it depends on how you look at it. But yeah, that's what we're going to look at into this podcast and talk about. It's just me and myself. And it was a good one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Pump fake. All right, here we go. We're going to get it going here. We are back with you guys. Hopefully this is Tuesday. I wanted to get it released yesterday on Monday, but we ended up getting back from our South Dakota trip. Did a little family trip out to Badlands and the Black Hills. It was a bunch of fun. I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier traveling with kids who are a little older now. Last time we did a little road trip, my oldest was a lot younger, and she's just like any other little child. When they get in the car seat and they sit for too long, they're going to let you know about it. But there's a change now. There's things called technology that some of these kids can play with when we're on road trips. That's the only time we really say, okay, yep, it's game on. Go ahead, use your iPad, run a road trip, and I feel for you a little bit. So go for it. But yeah, no, we got back later yesterday. Fabulous trip out to South Dakota. It was a lot of fun. We were able to stop down in Pipestone, where I used to teach down there. Met up with a couple buddies of mine down there, surprised one of them. But yeah, I got to go down there, and one of my buddies, Scott, bought a new place, so he got to show me around a little bit and show me where the deer like to cross. So maybe I'll have to slide down there and do a little hunting with Scott down in Pipestone one of these days. You never know. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Catch up with Scott. Shane was also down there, and just Scott's family, seeing those guys, kids getting older. And last time I was down there, it was probably, I would say about 10 years ago or so for sure. But yeah, no, it was fun to get down there, see those guys. Then we made our way over to Sioux Falls. We met up with some of my wife's relatives. We had a little picnic there, had a little bite to eat, and then it was off to the Badlands. Something to be seen. If you haven't made your way out west yet before to see all that stuff, highly recommend getting out there and doing it, because it is absolutely amazing what God has created out there for us to see and check out. So I highly, highly recommend to go out there and check out the Badlands and the Black Hills. But our first stop was in the Badlands, and we did a little drive around, and we saw some wild animals. The girls were all excited for that, and then we ended up camping right down in the Badlands. And then call it what you want to call it, if it was camping or not. We stayed at a little, I don't know, it's a campground / hotel or something. I don't know. We just had these little rooms that we went to. It wasn't really our main destination. It was just kind of hold us over for a day to check out the Badlands a little bit and then continue moving west. But great accommodations, everything there. I think it was called Badlands Hotel and Campground, I think is what it was called. But it was really cool. It was right down on the bottom, and we were able to see a lot of cool scenery and animals during that time frame. So that was pretty cool. Kids enjoyed it. So that was fun. And then we decided to, the next morning, to actually head over to Wall, because you got to check out Wall Drug, right? And I've been there before, and I knew what I was going to be going to see, and that was a couple monarchs that hang up on the wall in Wall Drug, and those are the two monarchs from Minnesota. The first one being the John Breen buck, the former number 1 world record typical shot in Minnesota. And then also with that, I think it's still the number 1 shed antlers ever found score-wise, 334 inches. 334 inches. Absolutely insane. Both those deer coming from Minnesota back in the day. And just kind of going back on some of these previous podcasts that we've talked about Minnesota, where Minnesota used to be just a banger of a state. I mean, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where I personally have the mindset where I'm never satisfied. So to see other, I don't know, whether it's other people or, government or whatever, sitting there just being content with where we're at frustrates me sometimes. It's like, we can do better. Let's go. We can do better. Like, what's your mindset? Come on. But yeah, just absolute monsters of deer, whitetails hanging on the wall in wall jugs. So when you're out there, check those out. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, so that was pretty cool, stopping in wall and checking all that stuff out. And then it was off to the Black Hills. And I've been out to the Black Hills once before, turkey hunting with Mike and his dad, Brian. And it was kind of cool because I really didn't do a whole lot of planning for this trip. It was mainly my wife and her family, mainly her family. But we just kind of, I don't know, I knew where we were going to be going. So I was like, all right, let's roll. And it was kind of cool because where we turned off is exactly where we turned off to go turkey hunting. And we kind of drove right past where we went turkey hunting. So I get to show everybody, kind of the spot that we went to. But on our way out there, holy buckets, like the wind blowing out there was absolutely insane. Speed limit out there was 80, but there's a lot of people going under 80, that's for sure. But just watching people pull into campers and semis and stuff, just getting blown all over the road. And it was one thing I've always contemplated, getting a camper or not. And watching that and those people fight the wind the whole time, it's just like, man, that looks like a beating. I mean, I was just driving our minivan, and I was white knuckling the whole way there, going through the wind on Interstate 90, I believe it is, right? Yeah, just hauling the mail and hanging on for dear life, basically. But yeah, it was just windier and all get out. But I don't know, it was just something I think about. It's like, should I get a camper or not? It's a lot of work to keep maintained, and you're always having issues with campers. I don't know. I've only had a few and seen people with a couple. Andy, if you're out there listening to this, I know the experience you went through with your camper, buying it basically brand new, and he pulls it out and it's leaking, and there's other stuff going on with it, and holes in it that he didn't know about. It's just like, man, there seems like there's always a lot of issues with those things, but it's a lot of fun, I'm sure. But to me, it also seems like a lot of work, and I get too many other irons in the fire, and we do too many other things. My wife her family has a lake cabin, so we go up there quite a bit, so I'd never really seen the need to have one. But I don't know, it was just interesting watching those people pull it. I mean, there's some big campers and people pulling up little tiny, SUVs. It's like, hang on. But yeah, eventually we ended up making it out to our destination, which was out in Custer. That's where we ended up staying, and it was pretty exciting because we got to stay in teepees. My wife was gracious enough to pick the deer teepee for us, and we got to stay in the deer teepee, so it was pretty sweet. So they basically had a concrete circular slab poured, and then they had their teepee built, and then in there it was a king-size bed, a bunk bed, and then like a full-size bed or something. I know, right? Roughing it big time. But yeah, it was pretty sweet campground we stayed at there. They had showers and bathrooms, accommodations for us. They had firewood. We had a couple fires here and there. Those nights ended up getting to be a little late with the brother-in-laws, but it was a lot of fun. We put on some sweet Pandora stations to bring us back to our high school days when we were rolling around Main Street thinking we were cool, right? But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun out there. Like I said, great accommodations. They had a couple hot tubs, they had a swimming pool. My daughters absolutely loved it. If you asked what their favorite part of the trip was, it was probably being in the swimming pool. But I had a lot of fun in there too with them. A couple places we went and saw were, one was a preserved mammoth, basically grave site with all these mammoth that, this is how it started. So there was a guy who was going to build, I don't know if it was a housing development or something, and he had this big hill that was kind of an eyesore. They considered it an eyesore. So he came in with some front end loaders, and they were going to kind of level out this hill. Well, as they were going through this hill, they started discovering these bones, and here they were ended up being mammoth bones. And so they put everything on a halt and started doing some research, and here what it was an old watering hole that used to be there. And these mammoths would be going in there to get a drink, and there was grass in there that they were trying to get at and eat. Well, they would walk into that watering hole, and eventually it was so steep and slippery that they would slip and fall in there. Well, then it was steep and slippery, they couldn't get back out, and they ended up dying in there. And so they're down in this sinkhole, is what they were calling it, and they ended up dying down there. But eventually, over time, millions of years, right, that water hole kind of started filling up with sediment and everything else. And this is one thing I didn't know. I guess I was always under the understanding when there's mountains and stuff that it was the glaciers that kind of formed them, but it's not, right? So the different plates of the earth were shifting and pushed up these granite mountains and ridges and hills, all that stuff. And that's what kind of happened in this spot here, where there was a sinkhole pond, and that ended up just filling in with sediment and becoming solid. Well, eventually that pushed up in the air, right, and elevated. And that's where all these remains of all these mammoth are. So they kind of built a building around it, and people are still in there digging around, and you can walk around and see people working, trying to find, whatever remains are in there yet. But that was pretty cool. They also had the evolution of antelope there. It was really cool. I'm going to be posting some stuff about that on our social media pages, but I thought it was really cool, all the information there with all the animals. And that's why I like going out west, me personally, is just not only to see the scenery, but the wildlife as well. And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed in the amount of wildlife we saw, but we didn't hit it as hard as we could have, I guess you could say. But yeah, it was really cool seeing the mammoth remains. And then also, I think it was on the last night, we decided to hit up a rodeo, and that was the Mount Rushmore Gulch Rodeo, I think it was called. But that was pretty sweet. I got the girls there, and I tell you what, there's some wild boys out there that are riding some crazy broncs and bulls. It's become a game out there, something you've never seen before, and I don't know what people's take is on this now. You look at football, how has football evolved, right? So back in the day, you do your job and you shut up and you walk off the field, or whatever. Basketball now, you got guys throwing up three when they make three, and doing the gritty and all that stuff, which is all good entertainment, right? And that's what this rodeo's kind of turned into. You got guys out there puffing on heaters as they're riding broncs and taking their hat off and getting the horse to buck a little harder by throwing his hat at it, and it was just a lot of fun. It was really entertaining. So it was pretty cool for the girls to see. We were right by the exit gate, so all the livestock had to come right by us at the end. You could hear them panting as they were going by, and it was just really cool. I love going to rodeos. They're something that I've always enjoyed watching. When I was younger, I kind of wanted to participate in rodeos, but I never did. I always wanted to be a bull rider. That's what I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be a bull rider, but yeah, that never happened. It's probably a good thing it didn't. But yeah, no, it was a pretty sweet time out there. And on the way back, we stopped in Pipestone again, got to meet up with another friend of ours. Ended up staying for like 2 hours before we ended up making our way back home. But yeah, it's a little bit of a hike out there, but it was well worth it. We have some other trips planned this summer, but yeah, that was kind of the first big trip of the summer to kick things off. So yeah, so once we got back, I was really anxious, kind of leading into our podcast here, kind of a long intro on what I just did this last weekend. But I was excited because we left, and I knew when I came back home, my food plot would probably be up. And right now, my field looks like a complete disaster because there's weeds everywhere yet, because I went out and bought that no-till drill that I was kind of talking to you guys about last week. My cousin Travis and I went in and bought a Tar River no-till pull behind. It's a PT pull type 505. from Tar River. And the one reason why we ended up buying it is because first thing, I didn't even expect Travis to come in and buy it with me, but he's like, yeah, I'll go halves with you on it, and let's make it happen. So I only have a side by side, and I've borrowed a lot of people's equipment. So I was thinking about different ways to kind of, get away from borrowing people's things all the time. I don't like it. So I was researching pull behind no-till planters for side by sides, and I found this one online, and then I found out our local dealer had the exact same one at the dealership. So I went and checked it out, and it looked like something I was interested in, and yeah, Travis and I ended up buying it. Well, it's one of those brands that I guess I haven't really heard of before. So I was like, okay, how good is this machine? So there's a lot of questions I had. Well, first big question I had was, these no-till planters are pretty heavy. Would my side-by-side be able to pull it? Would it overwork my machine? Would it dig deep enough? All these things are going through my head. It's in my mind, like, maybe Tar River is a bigger name, and I'm just unaware of it yet. But I'd never really heard of it before. So okay, is this a cheap product? What am I going to be dealing with here? So there was a lot of questions I had going into it, and I guess the only way to find out is trial and error, right? And I think this is a new release for them. I don't think it's been out that long, because I've been researching a lot of videos looking for information on the PT, the pull type planter, and I really couldn't find anything out there. All the videos out there are the 3-point system. So yeah, there was a lot of questions I had going into it. And as I was planting the first day, it was after a rain, and this is the one piece of advice I have for all of you guys is, if you get an opportunity to plant with a no-till drill, if you can plant after a rain, not in soup, but where the ground is just moist and soft, that is the perfect time to plant with a no-till drill. Because what I was seeing was when I was planting, the ground is fairly hard, and those front cutting discs weren't really cutting into the ground that well. However, if the seed wasn't getting put into the ground, the packing wheels on the back were pressing the seed into the ground far enough where it ended up getting that seed to soil contact, and now I've seen the germination and the seeds coming up. Where today I was planting, and the ground was dried out already, it wasn't really getting that good seed to soil contact like it was when the ground was a little more moist. So that was the one thing that I picked up early on with it. I did run into some trouble while I was planting. I just had a little bit left, and once you know it, I broke a chain. So this is day one, brand new machine. I'm like, come on, like, this shouldn't be happening. And I was frustrated, and I was mad, to say the least. I was mad that, like, this shouldn't be happening. It's a brand new machine, just paid over $7,000 for this thing. Like, what is going on here? So my uncle ended up having a linkage for it that I could use and put on there, and got it going again. There was one portion or crank on the side that runs your seed rate, and I didn't know this, but after reading the directions again, I saw it in bold letters that when you are done moving your seed rate, you got to make sure that the set bolt or screw goes back into the slotted grooved area. Otherwise, that is just going to continue to spin while you start planting again. And that's what I did one time, but I figured that out real quickly. And then when I was looking at the manual again, there it says, make sure you put the slotted, set screw in that slotted groove in the thread so that it doesn't move. It could damage your threads if you don't. So, yeah, point taken, point proved. Yeah, make sure you do it. So yeah, that was one thing that I kind of messed up on. Another thing with the drill that I noticed right away was it runs off a 12-volt battery, and I should back up because before we even got going, yeah, we hooked up the battery to the actuator. I think that's how you pronounce it. That lifts the machine up and down, right? And as soon as we put it to voltage, it started going up or it started going down. Then when we reversed the voltage, you switch the positive and negative, it started to go the opposite way. We're like, okay, there's got to be something wrong with this controller. So what do? We take it back to the dealership, and they're looking at it, they're trying to figure it out. And they're like, yep, the soldering on the inside is wrong. It's like, okay, what are we dealing with here? So they gave us a different controller to use, which was awesome. The guys at the New Holland dealership in Piers there, you guys did a great job helping us out. But yeah, so that was kind of frustrating right away. But as we were going and out planting, the one thing that was, I don't know, maybe I need to read the manual a little better, but I think it's supposed to be running off a 12-volt battery, or you can hook up to your side-by-side or whatever, but it just took forever to lift and lower down the drill. So I'd get to the end, and I wasn't going to sit there and wait for a minute for the machine to lift up, the drill. So what I ended up doing is just continuously going around in a circle, but then all of a sudden your turns get too tight, and then whatever, then you got to lift it up. And so that was kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. So that was, I don't know, it was just one of those things where it's like, all right, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. I got to figure this out. But ended up making it work in the end. Probably overseeded a lot of spots, quite a bit. But in my area here, the deer population is fairly heavy, so they're going to do a lot of browsing on there. So the more the merrier, I guess, with the seed, going in there. But yeah, there's just, I don't know, a couple things there that kind of frustrated me a little bit about it. But you think about, I mentioned this drill was over $7,000. For people like myself that has a side-by-side, think about if I were have to buy a tractor, buy a disc, and buy a planter. That bill's going to be well over $7,000. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the no-till drill and see what happens. The one thing is I wouldn't recommend going all out corn with your planter. So I wouldn't recommend going all corn with your planter because I don't know. Maybe I need to find a way to put more weight on the front, because I did add weight on the front. That's what a lot of people said. Add weight to the front of your drill, and that'll help push those cutting discs down into the ground. Well, I had 3 lawnmower weights on the front, and then also 2 full bags of fertilizer on the front, which is a decent amount of weight. But they just weren't, I don't know, doing the job, I guess, of pushing those discs down into the dirt the way I would like it. So for beans, yep, I think it'll work just fine. And I already saw the germination in the corn. So what I did to kind of hit on this, what I did was I mixed beans and corn into the front hopper. There's 2 hoppers. The front hopper is for big seed. The back hopper is for little seed or fertilizer. And I just mixed corn and beans in there, and I planted. And the corn for me isn't for necessarily for yields. The corn is for structure and for cover out in the field. So I want a variety of I don't know, levels of food out there for deer, but also cover. So I did that. And corn, you would obviously like a little deeper than the beans, but like I said, I'm not looking for yield. I'm just looking for cover out there. So I had some corn left over from 2 years ago. Put it in the hopper, put it in the ground, and it's up like 2 inches within a week already. So, yeah, it's pretty cool that was able to work. But I don't know. Beans, you can get to go, with a little bit of seed to soil contact. Corn, not so much. So as far as big seed goes, beans, I think you're perfectly fine running with a no-till drill. Straight corn, no. But if you want to mix some corn in, go for it, because that worked for me. It'll be interesting to see the difference in the germination between the stuff that I planted when the ground was moist and the stuff that I planted today when the ground was more solid, and see if there's a difference in germination, which I think there's going to be, because I'm pretty sure I saw a lot more seeds on top of the soil just resting there. compared to when I was seeding when the ground was a little moist, where it was pressed into the ground just a little bit further. So that's one thing that I think will make a big difference in the end. Overall, I guess when it comes to the no-till drill, you're going to be wasting some seed. There's no doubt about it. But I just seed heavy, right? And when it comes to food plots, I'm looking at, the amount of money I'm putting into it. Yes, I want good, production, good yield or whatever to make it as far as I can, but also at the same time, I'm also looking at the cost of fuel right now and everything else, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to be trying this no-till drill out to see how it works. There's a ton of different settings on there and levers you really have to check out. The one thing that I really did like about this drill is that you can shut off whichever cups you did not want to be dropping seed. So you can space it out a little further if you wanted to, if you were doing just corn. But like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend, banking on a full corn production with that drill. But that is nice. The one thing too that I tried adjusting, like there's these two, adjusting bolts, nuts on the front that you can drop the front end down just a little bit more. Which was all fine and dandy. I didn't see much of a difference in the amount that it was digging into the ground or cutting into the ground. But the one thing I did notice is when I pulled it out on the road to drive, back to my house, was that those discs were hitting the ground as I was driving when it was lifted all the way up. So that was one thing too where I was like, okay, is it worth actually lowering this and then having to raise it back up later on? I don't know. I just kind of left it as is and got out of it what I did, and we'll see what happens. But next is the spraying process. I went out to go actually spray. I was going to spray some this morning, and what I did is I put just a little bit of water in the sprayer, and I was going to turn it on just to see if it would work. Well, once you know it, I turned it on, and I got water spraying everywhere. And I'm like, what the heck? And it took me a couple times to figure out where it's coming from. Here was from the hand wand. The handle cracked. So last year, I have a heated garage, but I left it outside like 1 week where it was all of a sudden starting to dip down into the freezing temperatures. I'm like, oh, I got to get that sprayer back in. And it was probably just that one time frame where all of a sudden that water inside that hand wand froze and cracked the handle, and there you go. So I had to run into town today and get some replacement parts for that. And the one thing I was kind of frustrated about was that there was no shut off to go to the wand. It was just every pressure was going to that wand the entire time. So what I did is I bought a shut off valve and I put that in there, spliced that in there, and I bought a new wand for it. And hopefully tomorrow morning I'll be getting out here when this podcast is released, and hopefully it's not too windy in the morning. I'm going to get out and spray that plot and kind of get things rolling. That's the one thing, too, that I was okay with. Today, I actually drilled into standing rye that I overseeded last year into my beans, and it was about 6 foot tall. And that was the other thing I was curious on how it would fare, planting into that standing rye. You see all these people, no-till drilling right into the rye. It's like, well, let's see what happens here. We have it. Let's do it. So as I was going through there, and I was actually talking to another one of my buddies, it was a good thing that I waited this long where these fawns are able to get up and run finally, not just lay there. And sure enough, it was like round 4. All of a sudden, something caught my eye and looked, and there's a little fawn taking off for the woods, come running out of that rye. So I feel bad knocking all that rye down because it's great fawning cover in there. But, so I went around in circles there, and then I was going to cut diagonal across. And that didn't work so well because that rye, I figured those cutting discs in the front would cut right through that rye and drop the seed in the ground. Well, I think it was riding on top of that rye and not cutting in the ground as well. So I just kind of went over it twice, going the same direction that I already did, going with the stems instead of going diagonal across the stems or 45 and across the stems. Because it just wasn't letting any seed in the ground. Every seed was just laying there on top. So I don't know, a lot of pros and cons with The planter, overall, I think it'd be great for small seed. And that's one where it'd be interesting to see if, like, on a moist day or if the ground's moist, if that seed hits the ground and then gets stuck to those packing wheels in the back. I'm not sure. But I think on dry days, I think you'd be fine going with the smaller seed. And there's enough there where that smaller seed doesn't have to go that far into the ground. I think it's perfect for that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know, 50-50, I guess. If the conditions are right, those no-till drills are awesome. But I'll be interested to see how much I get for germination with this second go around when the ground was dry. The first go around, I was walking through the field. I'm like, there's bean, corn, corn, bean. It was just perfect. I'm like, that's what I want. Awesome. And then I planted today. I'm like, ooh, I think I'm seeing a lot more seed on top of the ground than in the ground. So that might be a very big takeaway for those of you out there using no-tills or going to use no-till. Don't wait, like a normal planting where you want to plant just before the rain. Here you might want to wait till after the rain and the ground is perfect to put the seed in the ground, because if the seed doesn't make it in the ground, those packing wheels will hit that seed and they'll push that ground. They'll stamp that seed into the ground to get that seed to soil contact. So that was the biggest thing that I've learned so far with it. The other thing is, make sure you read that owner's manual, right? There's a couple things that I did where I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And then I was like, dang, why did I think of that? But yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, I think for food plot purposes and with the equipment you have, to be honest with you, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a lot of money up front, but at the same time, if you're going to buy a tractor, a disc, and a drill, you're going to be spending over that $7,500 or whatever. I think it was $7,300 exactly is what it was. But yeah, it's something to think about. I know a lot of us out there always, should we buy no-till? Should we? Man, that's a lot of money. Wish I had one. Well, I'll tell you what, I think this is going to work out perfect for me now that I've learned a couple things about it. If you have any questions about it, shoot me a message and I'll be able to help you out. Hopefully help you out, but give you some advice moving forward with no-till drills, because they are a benefit. There's no doubt about it. It's just working through the kinks and figuring out, the settings and all that good stuff. But yeah, overall, I'm excited to continue to use it. There's a spot that I want to go to that's a lot of gravel. And I've tried, this is what's crazy. People always say, oh, you get rye to grow in the back of a pickup truck. Well, I have planted rye in this gravel pit area before. And I'm like, okay, let's go, take off, And it wouldn't do it. Like, I've tried how many times to plant rye on this gravel. One time it took off, and the other 2 times it did not. So I'm going to use this no-till drill. Maybe just digging it into the ground just a little bit might be the trick, because I want to start building that soil in that gravel pit area where I can start doing some other things with it. So that'll be interesting to see. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be glad to kind of point you in the right direction with this. And yeah, I'll be updating you guys, and I'll be putting some videos out on this planter and some of the things that I went through with it to keep you guys kind of in the loop. So we're going to keep it short tonight. And yeah, I hope you guys are having fun out there. Hope your plots are in. Hope everything's looking good. You got good germination. Everything's growing, getting that good food for the deer, because you know as well as I do, it'll be here before we know it. We're out in the stand waiting for that big boy to show up. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to shut her down, and I hope you guys have a great day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you were able to pick up a few things from the podcast. And yeah, there's a lot to be learned yet with this no-till drill. There's no doubt about it. But hopefully some of the things that I talked about in the podcast here will help you along. And if you're thinking about maybe buying a drill, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But like I said, balancing that out. If you have a field or you have plots or whatever, if you're sick of renting everybody's stuff and you're finally, I want to buy my own stuff, maybe the no-till drill is the way to go for you to save some time, save some money in the end. Up front, yeah, it's a lot of money. However, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of money for a tractor disc and a plow and a seeder as well. So something to think about moving forward. I don't know. Like I said, I'll be updating you guys throughout the podcast and throughout my YouTube videos on the progression of my field and what it looks like. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see the different stages and how they germinate and what type of production we get. So as we move on here, it'll be interesting. You just never know, right? I know a few people out there that have, I don't know, it's one of those things, even like when you spray, it's like, ooh, what's going to happen? Well, I know a couple farmers out there already that have killed all their corn because of the wrong spray or the wrong seed that they thought was Roundup ready or whatever, but it wasn't. So yeah, you just never know when it comes to planting. You got Mother Nature, and you said you have to get the rain, all that stuff, and we're actually getting some rain as we speak, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun time of year. Like my uncle said, it's fun playing farmer once in a while, and that's what we did today and last week. And it's always cool to see when you put seed in the ground, it starts taking off. Now I just got to take care of those weeds, so we'll see what happens. I really want to thank you guys for tuning in this week and listening. Like I said, don't be afraid to like, subscribe, share, download, right? And all those things help not only us, but also our sponsors and also you guys. I know there's podcasts that I've subscribed to, and all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone that a new podcast has been released. Well, kind of same thing here. Sometimes they come out on Monday for me, sometimes it's Tuesday, depending on my schedule. But yeah, if all of a sudden you're looking, hey, the podcast isn't on a Monday, well, if you subscribe to our podcast, you'll get that notification when we put it out, whether it's on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or whenever I get it done, taken care of. So well, thank you guys for all of you listening, tuning in. Don't be afraid to share our podcast with other people as well. Give us a 5-star rating, all that good stuff. And then also, don't be afraid to check out all of our partners' websites, their apparel, their products, all that stuff. Starting with Arctic Shield, Domain Outdoor, J&R Outdoors, Skullcraft, The Fish Guide, S1K Custom Calls, and also Fourth Arrow Camera Arms. If you guys don't have your food plots in yet, that's okay. There's still time. But if you do, I hope you're getting the moisture. I hope you have your weeds taken care of, and I hope everything is looking great and up to par to your standards. So we're going to shut her down here, and yeah, until next time, I hope you guys have a great day and a great week.